Kevin Holland, he provides a lot of interesting challenges for Jack Della Maddalena. Most important, AJ, let's not forget, Kevin Holland's a black belt. Do we see him try to not go big mouth style and just try to grapple up Jack Della Maddalena here?
Ooh, that's an interesting one, Derek. I actually was thinking about that when I was breaking down these fights. I do see Kevin Holland finding success in that ground game, especially if Jack Della Maddalena, especially if he's looking to cause that pressure, looking to cause that forward motion like he does, and especially if he's sitting in tight with his guard like Jack Della Maddalena likes to. I see Kevin Holland cutting angles and getting to a double leg, putting Jack on his butt, and actually working for the jiu-jitsu. Do you think it happens that kind of way, Derek, where it's going to be offensive for Kevin Holland, or is this going to be a defensive sort of jiu-jitsu match for him? What do you think?
Well, it's really tough to say, man. Well, I opened up the show by saying that Kevin Holland provides an unpredictability that can lend to a win or a major loss and make you feel kind of dumb. But at the end of the day, I'd rather go with the unpredictability than somebody who's going to be cookie cutter, because that's where he gets the crazy Jacare knockouts off of his back, hammer fist to the chin, right? This is a spot right here where I can see Jack Della Maddalena having a lot of success getting on the inside and bypassing that really long reach of Kevin Holland, because he does tend to overextend on his shots. So what's Maddalena going to do? Beat up the body, try to use timing, rhythm, boxing, put himself in a position to just kind of war of attrition knockout right there. But Kevin Holland, this is not a 170-pound fighter right here, even though it's at welterweight, right? We know he could crack with the big boys, and we've seen it, man. He lands one good one. He's got a crazy reach advantage. He's got an 8-inch reach advantage on Jack Della Maddalena, so that's got to come into play. But AJ, to answer your question, that's where it comes into that offensive grappling that starts defensive but turns offensive. You close the distance too quick, you don't do it the right way, you get your neck snatched, standing guillotine, fall down, darce. I mean, long leg dudes like Kevin Holland are going to be a massive problem for cats like Jack Della Maddalena. Even still, I'm still very confident that Jack Della Maddalena will make this a very close fight, because while we can agree, number 13 for Holland, number 14 for Maddalena, would you agree that Kevin Holland is a little bit of a step up for Jack Della Maddalena?
100%, especially if you take his UFC career into perspective. I mean, don't get me wrong. Who was it? Randy Brown, Rude Boy Randy Brown. That was a step up in the competition, especially from Danny Roberts. But then, like you said, there was the weird stuff that happened with the Bazell fight over the Hafez, whatever his last name is. And having Jack kind of just wanting to fight everybody does provide a little bit of that. But, I mean, a step up in competition is kind of almost an understatement, man. You go look at who Kevin Holland has fought. He's fought the who's who. Names among names among names of people who have been in the UFC for a long time and solidified themselves as absolute killers. Now, going back to a little bit what you're saying, Derek, I like where your head's at. Jack Della Maddalena, work in the boxing, get on the inside, really, staying as technical as he can in that kind of phone booth style of fight. But let's not forget what happened to Buckley against the Kevin Holland when he's entering, when he's coming in fast. That's what worries me for Jack Della Maddalena. You're encroaching on Kevin Holland's space. He doesn't need the length to do his damage. He can crack you in from here as you're walking in, stepping in. You just need just a little bit of chin up in the air, and Kevin Holland's going to find that mark. Do you see that kind of technical prowess as big of a problem as I do for Jack Della Maddalena? I mean, in that last fight, the Hafez fight, he was getting cracked. The good thing is he has a hell of a chin, so he's able to stand up to it. I don't know if that's going to be the same case when you don't see it coming like Kevin Holland is able to present. What do you think?
I think the difference between that Hafez fight and this Holland fight is that Hafez had the threat of the takedown throughout the entire fight. So it's really hard to really get into, oh, you want to box? Let's box, right? When you're like, you're going to shoot for my legs any second. So this is a trap, right? Kevin Holland doesn't quite provide that. And then look at what he did against Wonder Boy, man. The gentleman's agreement, no takedowns. We're just going to go and do this. And then when the fight started getting sticky, oh, let me try to clinch you up and stuff like that. So it depends on how seriously Kevin Holland takes easiest path to victory into account. But I do agree, closing that distance is going to be a pretty massive problem for Jack Della Maddalena. I still think that he can do it. I still think that if he can get past, because Holland isn't like a super volume striker, right? So when you're coming in, he might throw the one big right hand, but if you overextend on it, now Maddalena's in, he could throw a 3-piece combo and skip out. I think that leg kicks are going to come into factor here. Even those little weird oblique kicks to the knee, things like that, teeps, all of it is going to matter. I just think that Kevin Holland, better body of work, tougher opposition, more time tested. He's already had his opportunity to have the nonsense fights that we've seen, the Derek Brunson fights, Marvin Vettori fights, and all that good stuff. And this is a showcase spot to do it in front of a bunch of fans that love him, man. Like I said, honorary Mexican with the taco truck right on outside the stadium, you dig? So with that being said, let's take a look into these odds. At open when I took these down. Minus 115 for Holland, minus 105 for Jack Della Maddalena. It is actually swollen much larger in favor of Jack Della Maddalena, minus 155 with a plus 130 comeback for Kevin Holland, which now at this point, AJ, does feel a little disrespectful to me. So I will say, if you were a bettor, you need to cash in on Kevin Holland right here. Plus 130 just seems out of line. It doesn't bode well with me. And it's not because I'm a big Holland fan. It's just look at the skill set of these two. Look at the more well-rounded fighter. What do you think about that?
I couldn't agree with you more, Derek. If you're looking at Kevin Holland to be winning this fight, folks, plus 130 money is absolutely a steal for this dude because he has the repertoire to be able to mix things up, give Jack Della Maddalena a situation in which he hasn't presented himself in yet. Mm-hmm. That worries me a little bit. I'm not going to lie. I mean, I'm glad the money has swollen in my favor, Derek, but at the same time, that gives me a little pause for concern. I mean, maybe too many people are putting their eggs in the basket of what have you done for me lately as far as Kevin Holland has fallen to that quote unquote obscurity level. It's not true. I mean, this guy is not obscure at all. He is an absolute killer. Worries me a little bit. I'm still rocking with Jack, but man, this is going to be a very close fight, folks.
That's right. And let's just list off the last losses for Kevin Holland. It was Wonderboy Thompson, Hamzat Chimaev, Marvin Vettori, Derek Brunson. Like you got some legit talent right there. Either way, I'm expecting this to be nothing but nonstop fireworks. I like Kevin Holland here, and folks, I actually wouldn't be mad at that plus 325 TKO. But if you want some juice that you're not thinking about, plus 500 for the submission. That's something to definitely think about. All right, AJ, do you got any juice on any of these props? You ready to push it?
Ooh, that plus 500 for the submission is possible, Derek. I like where your head's at. I think Jack Della Maddalena, if he gets this done, it's going to be that plus 350 decision.
All right, fair enough. Now